I used to preach to the converted. I wrote for Wired magazine and CNET, but I found my calling over the years, which is breaking down geek speak into street speak. So hopefully tonight's chat won't be like, whew. It'll be like, okay, cool, I get it. And more importantly, what you're doing to help these kids with our program is bettering their chances of competing in this amazing high-tech future. I do have the benefit of working with some amazing broadcasters, like Mr. Ben Mulrooney. This is a Christmas segment we did. We were opening up gadgets on CTV's Canada AM. There we go. Looks good in pajamas, Ben. And I am fortunate to work south of the border as well with the likes of Wolf Blitzer, and there we go, and none other than Nancy Grace, who, despite all the appearances I've done, she just retired from HLN last week. She's never yelled at me as a guest. She berates all of her guests, but she not once has yelled at me. So she's a lot of fun, quite a character. We'll see where she ends up. And, you know, I should say that most people do recognize me as the face of Gear Guide. I'm the guy, you probably have a craving for popcorn, because when you go to the movies, I'm the guy you have to sit through before the movie starts. So thank you for your patience on that.
Let's face it.
So this is an example of what it looks like. Here's a funny story. I was in Vancouver last month, and a woman stopped me on the street, and she's like, oh my God, I'm a huge fan. My husband loves technology. He's going to be so excited that I met you. I said, hey, let's do a selfie. So I took a picture, and I go, so you guys go to the movies a lot? And she goes, you're at the movies? No. I go to Costco. You're the guy on my Costco TVs, which was really funny because I assumed that she was a fan of the movies. But yeah, you can't escape me. I apologize for that. But let's move on and talk about what we're here for, which is helping these kids, arming them with the tools that they need for a better future. And that future is with technology. So we're going to chat about some fun things that are already happening now, like smart homes and where we're going, self-driving cars, believe it or not, augmented reality and virtual reality, robotics, and more. So let's start with the connected home. This is already happening now on a small scale. This is these devices that you can buy to turn a regular home into a smarter one. Cameras that will, when your kids come home after school, you're immediately notified on your smartphone or tablet or laptop that your kids are home safe with a little video clip, giving you that peace of mind that you want. There's that Ring doorbell and these other video Wi-Fi doorbells. So when someone presses a button, they see you, they think you're inside. You can be, you know, at a cafe somewhere else, even around the world. Bluetooth deadbolts. You walk up to your front door, it recognizes you with some identifiers on you, like key fobs and your smartphone, lets you in without needing a mechanical key. There's lighting, like Philips Hue lights, the ability to adjust lighting on the fly, even set schedules. Wi-Fi thermostats. This is from a Toronto company called Ecobee. It saves 23% on your heating and cooling bills every year. It detects your patterns as you leave the house. Then there's water sensors. This is great for snowbirds or if you have a cottage. The moment water is detected, at the bottom here, you put it in a vulnerable area. The moment a leak is detected, you are notified on your smartphone, wherever you are on the planet, so you can act on it immediately, save your basement and your stuff. And where are we going? Our appliances are getting high-tech as well. Okay, washing machines and dryers are going to text you to tell you that the load is done. Your fridge is going to know the items that you're placing in it. It's going to tell you when you're out of juice or when your milk is about to expire. Or if you bought Nutella, but your fridge knows that you have a child in the house with an allergy to tree nuts, it's going to say, whoa, you bought something that has hazelnuts. It's going to tell you. You're going to be at a grocery store, a supermarket, and you're going to be like, do we have eggs in the fridge? I don't remember. Well, you're going to pull out your phone, and you're going to see a camera into your fridge, and you will know if you have eggs or milk or what you need. All right, this is where we're going. Pretty wild stuff. Everything is going to be connected to everything. It's part of this IoT, or Internet of Things revolution that we are on the brink of. All of our devices in all of our home is going to be touch-enabled, voice-enabled. I don't really believe the keyboard part there. I think you're just going to talk naturally, and you're going to hear a human voice like back, and everything is all connected through touching glass, connected to your car, connected to your office, to your wrist, to your phone, to your home. This is where it's going, a connected future. Very, very exciting, and we are just in the early days. When your car is rounding the turn to your neighborhood, your garage door is going to automatically open. That's IoT, Internet of Things. Really exciting stuff. Let's pivot and talk about 3D printing. Again, very early days, but of course this refers to these printers that you can buy in your home to make a physical object, a 3D object. How cool is that for kids and kids at heart to make something that they've got the imagination for, or to download a blueprint from a website. You can make chess pieces, action figures, coffee mugs, smartphone cases, even though they don't look comfortable, shoes. You can get really quirky ideas. A dad made this for his son, right? Isn't that cool? A shower head of his favorite dinosaur. You know, imagine in the near future you need a car part. Instead of having to go to your dealership, you download the blueprint for the car part that you need, you print it, and you place it in your vehicle. All right, there are things like 3D prosthetics that you can have custom made and printed, maybe not at home, but in a medical facility where they can actually customize it and make it for you on the cheap. And then there's the quirky stuff. Now, this isn't 3D printing, but kind of neat. I saw this at the Consumer Electronics Show in Vegas. This is 3D printing your nails in 10 seconds. My wife Kelly's going to like this. So imagine you take a picture on your smartphone. Okay, I don't know, you're in San Francisco, you see a picture of the Golden Gate Bridge, you want to show it to the woman, okay, this is what I want on my nails. I took this picture, and she's like, okay, I can do that. You place your fingers, your 10 fingers, inside of what's called iNail, and that image is printed in 10 seconds on all 10 of your fingers, and well, 8 fingers and 2 thumbs if you want to get technical. But look at that. This is the image that she had on her smartphone, printed on her nail. And then there's 3D printed coffee. That is, that is my mug in a mug. All right, that is also at the Consumer Electronics Show. It's a New York company called Ripples. It is, the printing material is really coffee grounds. But imagine you're going to Starbucks and it's your birthday. They can write, "Happy Birthday, John," on your coffee. And it also takes about 10 seconds. They first take a picture of you, if it is a photo, but again, it works with words as well. The coffee grounds are then printed on this machine via Bluetooth. So this is a little video that I shot at the Consumer Electronics Show, which is a window to the future. How many seconds was that?
10 seconds.
10? She said 10 seconds, and there's my picture on top of coffee. There you go. Even if you have Toronto's most punchable face, which I see online as well. And really amazing things are happening with 3D printers. This is one called EcoCycle that melts plastic water bottles to make new printing material. How cool is that, right? Full circle solution. They're getting more affordable. For under 200 bucks US, you can buy an all-in-one. So that's a scanner and a printer in one. So if you came over to my house for a cup of coffee, you like, hey Mark, I like your mug. I can put the mug in the printer, press a button, it makes an exact replica, so by the time you leave, you have the exact same mug I have. Printer and scanner in one, under 200 bucks. And they're playing with a lot more colors. So really cool stuff coming down the road. Now, I put this slide in here. A lot of you are of the generation where you may remember Star Trek, right? I think they're just celebrating their 50th anniversary. I put real teleportation because if you think about it, in the near future, you can be buying a product on, say, Amazon in the year 2025. And instead of them zapping a tie from Amazon to your home, you can say, I want to buy that tie from that brand, that color, that design, and it is made instantly in your home. So it's almost like beaming from one place to another. So not quite like Beam Me Up Scotty, but you get the idea. And hopefully the ties will look a little bit better than that, but you get the idea. Another way is that technology is going to revolutionize shopping and online shopping is with drones, delivery drones. This is being tested right now in British Columbia, where you will order a product, depending on the size. It can't be a dishwasher. It's got to be relatively small. But you will order a product from your smartphone or your tablet, and it's going to send a note to the factory, all right, get that item. So this is what it could look like. Now, in this video, there are humans who are physically placing that object and putting it in that little Amazon box. But you bet in the future it'll be all robotic. You're going to buy, let's say, a pair of headphones, and it's going to be placed inside of this little container. The drone is an autonomous drone, so it won't hit any other object. It'll maneuver around other objects, and it'll bring it to your home in less than 30 minutes. So like a pizza, you're going to be able to buy something on Amazon or other online stores and have it dropped on your door. Now get this, when it brings it to you, it drops it off on your porch, for example, sends you a text to come outside to get it, takes a picture of you getting it, and you're emailed the receipt. All right? Everybody's like, okay, I like that. Until one falls on somebody and then, you know, That's all going to happen. With all these cool things, there's always bumps in the road, naturally. VR, virtual reality, very, very exciting space. 2016 is the coming out party for VR. These headsets that you put on that are very hard to explain. If you haven't done it, you got to try it because it's mind-blowing. 360-degree video wherever you look around you. It's as if you're really in that digital world. And there's no shortage of players right now already, even in 2016. The HTC Vive, the PlayStation VR just came out last week. You know, there's the Google Cardboard, and they have a new platform coming out. The Samsung Gear VR, where you snap a phone in, and of course, Facebook bought Oculus Rift for, you know, $2 billion. So they obviously see a future there, Marc Zuckerberg, enjoying the virtual reality. And there are lots of applications for it. Initially, it's the geeks like me, the gamers with deep pockets who want that full immersion. They want to be inside of that video game, not looking at, even if you have a TV this big, you still can see the 4 quarters of the screen. You know it's just a game. But when you've got it with 360-degree head tracking and 3D spatialized audio, it's mind-blowing. Here's an example if you haven't seen VR. This is what it's like. You put on the headset, so wherever you're looking in this jungle and there's a dinosaur coming, then that's what it feels like. So it tricks your brain into believing it's real. It's pretty wild. It's going to lunge towards you. Hope nobody's afraid of this kind of stuff. But it's 3D as well, so amazing sense of depth. It's more than just games. There's some fun entertainment sequences in VR. This is what it's like riding a roller coaster. You might have seen some videos on YouTube of people being sick to their stomach after taking off the VR headset. So it does really feel like you're there. Many other cool applications. This is a TV series. I say TV, but it's a video series called Gone. It's from Milk VR, owned by Samsung. It's about your daughter being taken from you in a park, and you have to find her, so you've got to look for clues. How terrifying is that, right? It's like, oh my God, a parent's worst nightmare is entertainment. This is it. You put it on and you're like, oh my God. Like, so you're like, why would people want this? This is amazing where it's going, though. On a lighter note, there's lots of VR applications for entertainment, education rather, or entertainment. Imagine a science class. I don't know if you remember what science was like when you were studying biology, but imagine slipping on a VR headset and you are put inside of someone's body and you are virtually learning about the inside of your body, anatomy and chemistry and physics and all that. How cool is that? You're inside of that world. Or in geography, a virtual safari because it's just like being there. Or having a pen pal in Australia, and they are wearing a headset, and so are you, and you can communicate, right? You can, even in history, you can be in ancient Rome. You get the idea. Even shopping. Imagine you aren't physically able to get to a mall to walk around. You can don a headset in the near future and do your shopping from a first-person perspective, right? So this is a video from Tesco in the UK. And a lot of VR, I failed to mention, they come with gloves or controllers that let you interact with virtual content. So imagine you're shopping for shoes, as she is. So on the right, that's her in real life. On the left is what she sees. She's actually touching the shoes, changing the color and style, putting it on a mannequin, which again is pretty cool if you think about where online shopping is going with virtual reality. Lots of applications. Now, VR, or virtual reality, is when you're fully immersed in that headgear and you can't see outside. You are in that digital world. AR, or augmented reality, is where the real world, you can still see it around you, but it's superimposed with digital information on top. And we've seen examples this summer of Pokemon Go, this worldwide phenomenon, where you hold up your smartphone and it looks like those cute little characters are there in Toronto beside you on a park bench or what have you. So this is an example of AR. Microsoft is working on HoloLens. This is a headset that you place. So of course there are entertainment applications. This is a guy playing Minecraft in his family room, in his living room, with a 3D space. You can actually walk around the pieces and use, it's like digital Lego, and you're picking it up as if it's real. This is an example of another game using Halo, which is another Microsoft franchise. So this guy is wearing the HoloLens. His hand, when he looks down at it, it looks like it's got a laser blaster. He looks at that wall, and it's just a regular wall like we have in this room, but he can shoot holes through it is what he sees, and aliens are going to come out. Again, augmenting the world around you, so it's pretty wild stuff. And a lot of Canadian companies are working on this technology, including ones here in Toronto.
Dan is free to move around.
So that's pretty cool. Going back to education again, there's a lot of applications for augmented reality, superimposing animals in the real world around you. And imagine studying astronomy in class, and you've got everybody wearing these headsets, or they're part of your phone, and it looks like that glowing sun is hovering in the classroom. It's very magical for the kids. It's all about engagement. It seems like science fiction. We're not that far away. In fact, there's a school in China, in a rural part of China, that can't afford a huge science lab. So the kids put on these virtual headsets, and it looks like they have a 1,000-square-foot science lab. And they interact with beakers, and they're pouring things in that aren't really there. It's pretty neat. Now, here's where it gets really cool. Imagine if, because Facebook bought Oculus Rift, social media, circa 2025, is actually interacting with people who aren't there. This girl, his daughter presumably, is not in the same room as him. She is over there in another room, but he's wearing this headset and it looks like she is there. Imagine that's what social media is like. Talk about a better connection with your loved ones who may be living in another part of the world. You could sit down and have a virtual coffee with them as if they were there in Toronto. She looks real, right? It's like a hologram, but filled in. It's amazing. That's augmented reality. All right, self-driving cars. We are right now just in the early stages, often referred to as semi-autonomous vehicles, cars that can somewhat look after themselves. For example, dynamic cruise control, where if the guy in front of you slams on his brakes, your car will put on their brakes to put a buffer between you and the vehicle in front of you. That's available in many cars now. Or you start veering into one lane or another, and your seat will vibrate left or right accordingly to tell you to wake up. You're crossing over the line. And of course, cars that park themselves have been around for over a decade. But where it's going next is really exciting stuff. Fully autonomous, hands-free driving, with, of course, legislation as the big hurdle. Like with any technology, you've got to go through the hoops first. It's not legal in every province or in every state yet, but this is a Tesla with Autopilot running. Again, Google has had 2 accidents. Now, Tesla has had even a fatality with someone that wasn't paying attention. He was watching a movie, and his car got in an accident in Florida. But Google has clocked more than 2 million miles with their Google self-driving cars over the last 9 years. And there was also 2 accidents. Both times are when a human moved the vehicle from one place to another. 95.5% of all car accidents are caused by human error. So maybe we're willing to give it a shot if it's safe. The way it works is that there's cameras, sensors, there's radar, sonar, in order to identify yourself in this world and look at different objects and identify them and put a buffer between you and the rest of the world. It's not for everybody, as you can see here.
Oh, this car is coming. Oh, this car is. Bill, this.
That would be my mom.
Put me back for me controlling. Oh, dear Jesus. I could never. Oh, where's it going?
All right, I think you get the idea. There's one feature that's not legal in Ontario. It's called Summon, and this works with Tesla Autopilot. That's where you're like, hey, I'm here. I need my car to come pick me up, like on your driveway. It works in states, in some of the states, but in Ontario, the law is, and this is of January 1st, as of January 1st, 2016, is that you have to be behind the wheel for your car to be a self-driving car. And again, still early days. So for you to say summon, like to summon your vehicle is not going to work. Like Knight Rider from KIT, not in Ontario just yet, but it's coming. Now, Uber has tested, beginning 2 weeks ago in Pittsburgh, self-driving cars that are picking up people and taking them from one place to another. So now we're talking about the next generation of on-demand vehicle services like Uber and Lyft in the States. $500 million investment by GM into Lyft because they see the value in this. Cars that are picking up multiple people and dropping them off at multiple locations. You just open up the app, you tap on the map where you are, it picks you up, you get in, you tap where you want to go, and it drops you off. Now, imagine in 10, 15 years from now, you have a car and you're going to go on a vacation with your family, you could have your car working for you while you're on vacation, picking up fares and helping to pay for your trip. That's where it's going, because anybody can be an Uber driver, and any car that's a self-driving car, technically. Now look, there's insurance hurdles, there's the legislative hurdles. I'm not saying it's going to be a cakewalk. We've seen fatalities now, but it's early days. We're in like the Model T days of self-driving cars, but it's coming. All right, the last major category that I want to cover is probably the most exciting to me. I would argue that if the internet is the biggest thing to happen in our generation, domestic robots will be the next big thing in the next generation. It will be the generation-defining technology or innovation. And it's already happening in a lot of different ways in a lot of different disciplines simultaneously, and some are putting it together. Google is buying a lot of companies. They bought 12 robotics companies in 1 month, 18 months ago. So Boston Dynamics was one of them. I think they're trying to sell it now, turn a profit. But this is showing you where it's come in terms of balance. Engineering, right? We need engineers to make these robots to walk a lot more fluid-like and be a lot more natural. It's amazing how they're going, this jerk with the hockey stick, right? It's going to keep doing its task. It's going to do menial labor. And yes, there's the argument about how many jobs is it going to replace. I know, right? Don't you feel bad for him? There is that debate. How many jobs is this going to replace? But how many jobs is it going to employ? Because we're going to need people to program and maintain these robots. It gets worse. He actually knocks them down. Look at this. I know, right? So he gets up. Don't worry, he gets up. Slowly, but he gets up. There we go. Anyways, it's coming a long way. Soon, we're going to start seeing, once they iron out all the bugs, they work on AI or artificial intelligence, speech-to-text technology, and text-to-speech. We're going to start seeing what are often referred to as humanoid robots or androids. These are the ones that are going to look like a person somewhat to begin with. They'll be slow and clunky to begin with, but they will be in your home. They will be cooking your kids' breakfast. They will be cleaning your home. They will be washing the floors that go well above and beyond the Roomba floor vacuuming robot. And then the next stage after that is going to be more human-like emotion out of them. They're going to tell you things like, hey, Mark, don't forget, it's Kelly's birthday in a week. Can I order her flowers for you? It's going to remember things. It's going to act surprised. It's going to look, it's going to have frowning. I've got another example of some human-like robots. You know, in Japan, they love this stuff, right? So they're well ahead of it. Here's another one. Now, this is pretty creepy. Look how realistic her facial expressions are.
Extremely well.
Do you like talking with me?
Yes.
Like very human-like skin.
Is my primary.
And, you know, working on all the muscles. And it's going to be exponentially evolving.
Designing these robots to serve.
So with AI like Siri and Google Now and Amazon Echo, the brains, all tied to the cloud, to the central database, it's going to be outstanding where this is going. So that's robotics. So I want to wrap up by suggesting that if we want to empower our kids to be part of this amazing technological revolution, and I just scratched the surface. I mean, there's a lot more going on. There has to be an increased concentration and focus on STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, in the school system and outside of it as well. Extracurricular activities. And there's a lot of really cool innovations going on right now. That's Dean Kamen there in the robotics club. There's 3D printing clubs. There's, you know, Minecraft tournaments and lots of great things happening in and out of school. The TDSB and the Catholic School Board are really investing in some technology, cutting edge stuff that are getting kids excited and engaged about science and math, because these are the jobs that they should be competing for in the future. And again, every kid plays video games, but it's a fine line between making games, becoming a coder or programmer, and playing games. A lot of these games have tools that let you make your own stuff. Encourage that. Encourage these kids to do it. That's not to say that STEM doesn't have its challenges. For one, brain drain. Even our mayor, John Tory, is saying, hey, we have a big problem here where they're going to Silicon Valley. You know, U of Waterloo, U of T, all these great post-secondary educations are cranking out amazing talent, but we're losing them with a starting salary of 140 grand US a year. So there you go, off to San Francisco. That's tough. So we have to invest more in Canada. Another issue is diversity. Not so much racial diversity, but gender diversity. It's a boys-only club, and it's got to change. So hopefully, and I know Lloyd Bryant from HP is involved in a lot of this, is getting girls, women excited about technology at a young age in the school system so that they can be part of this. Not a byproduct of it, where we don't need people to help anymore because a robot has replaced them. I know it's a stretch, but we're not that far away. So we could do a better job at gender diversity. And here are some amazing stats to keep in mind. There is huge opportunity. Ironically, there's all these jobs that are unfulfilled. We have a 3-year high unemployment rate at this point, but there's all these tech jobs that are unfulfilled. They're estimating in the US alone 1 million jobs, computing jobs by 2020 are going to be needed. And a lot of these kids are either dropping out of school, not studying the right things, not interested, and they're not engaged in technology. They think, someone else will do it. I don't have a mind for programming or engineering or AI, but it's a problem. But we can help. And this is why merry-go-round is very important. It's critical. And why I'm very proud to be a board member for merry-go-round. Because this evens the playing field. This gives the kids the tools that they need, which is not the only thing, of course. There's many other elements to the program and to what kids need to succeed. But we are putting in their hands the tools that they need to succeed. It's leveling the playing field, bridging the digital divide between those that have and those who do not have. And again, with 625 computers given this year in the GTA alone, and about 180 outside of Ontario, we're proud of that, and we couldn't have done it without your support. We are giving them, that's one element to the program. There's mentorship and other amazing things that Scott touched on that we're also very proud of. Our relationship with the school boards, both the Toronto District School Board and Catholic School Board, and of course the police, not just the Toronto Police Services, but also now the RCMP. And then the kids, we're sending a great message about giving back, about caring, about empathy. So we couldn't have done this without your support and what you are doing to contribute to a much brighter future for them. So for that, we want to say thank you very much, and I hope you enjoyed the chat. Thanks, Bob.
Thank you, Mark. Oh, yeah. Mark, I think before you go, I think we would like to take some questions from the audience. Is there anybody here who's got some questions for Mark?
We can chat one-on-one later if you prefer. You're like, can you fix my computer?
AR versus VR.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of augmented reality.
Yeah.
I think, to me, that's the one that is most accessible to me, that I see having the most practical applications in my life.
Because we all have that one device in our pocket that can do it.
Yeah, and I to me, see that one as being something that could, the rubber's going to meet the road much faster than, say, VR. Am I off base there?
Not at all. Again, the barriers of entry have dropped, right? Because we all have a smartphone. We don't leave home without it. It's our digital Swiss Army knife that does everything. And AR is one of them. So if a child, we could say, again, if the child has it, here's where we talk about the digital divide again. If the teacher, and they're now embracing technology more than ever before, if they can say, everybody hold it up and look at me, if they held it up in the classroom and they all had that one device that can do it, then they can be engaged in that content, like that sun spinning around. VR, $1,000, you need it's a little bit more cumbersome, more expensive, but the two are going to come together, for sure.
You also mentioned that the government of Ontario has sort of, there's that thing, the summon aspect of the Tesla that is illegal in Ontario.
True.
And I think a lot of people wonder if levels of government in this country are slowing down innovation for fear of the unknown.
Yeah, it's a good point. You have to understand on their point, they want to make sure that they don't jump into this new technology that could potentially take lives, and it will. It will, but I would argue there's far more fatalities with regular car accidents, with humans being the problem. But that aside,
off the top of my head, something called Autopilot on a highway is probably a little scarier than
scary.
Summon
So
on a driveway.
They have a responsibility to legislate it, and the insurance, who's liable in an accident. There's a lot of unknowns. The technology is almost there. It's these other hurdles that we have to get around in order to make it a reality.
And lastly, my question. Oh, do you have a question?
Yeah. So a great question from Sarah about kids who can be schooled at home from technology, and that certainly is happening a lot more. I didn't let a video play to the end, but it was the one where the kids were looking at that sun. There was a child sick at home in bed that day, and he was able to partake in that class just as easily as the person that was there physically. You know, it does beg the question, well, are we going to lose talented teachers here because we're all going to be tuning in to like this superstar teacher in another country? I mean, look, the dust has a way of settling in an interesting way. But technically it's possible, yeah. They call them social robots as well, is that you can be represented at school with a robot and you see what the robot sees from a first-person view.
Question right over here?
I was wondering how Canada stands in terms of our opportunity in this whole new
Yeah.
Is it American-oriented? Is Europe there? Are we?
Great question. Where does Canada stand in this technological revolution? Well, naturally, we have a lot fewer people. We have, what, 35 million people. So on a numbers basis, it's hard to compete. On a per capita basis, we're doing pretty good in terms of STEM studies, graduating these kids who are programmers, engineers, and they're finding jobs, unfortunately, elsewhere. The States has 10 times their population. But we're doing a pretty good job. I mean, going back to GM, for example, they made a big investment in Ontario where they're actually bringing in engineers from China and from other countries and hiring Canadian talent to work on the connected car revolution. And that's going to impact things globally, but it's going to be from Toronto. So we have some amazing schools. We have a culture that embraces technology. We have a very highly educated and fairly affluent civilization overall, a society, generally speaking, that it helps put us on the playing field. Yeah, we just got to retain them. You know, that's the challenge. But there's a lot of startups in Toronto in all of those disciplines that I showed: robotics, 3D printing, virtual reality, augmented reality, self-driving cars. Cool stuff. I know it's a little scary, but it is. We're going there and fast, and it's pretty wild. Yeah, Braden?
Yeah, you showed a lot of good technology, and with that comes disruption. I'm wondering what industries you see being impacted the most by all these technologies.
The question is, what industries do I see being impacted or disrupted the most? The answer is all of them. Every industry is being revolutionized by technology, just at a different pace. So, you know, whether it's education, whether it's transportation, go through the list. that's a conversation we can have. It might take a while. Transportation, I talked about delivery drones, right? And 3D printing, how you can order a tie and it's ready 20 minutes later in your house without you having to. So that's going to impact transportation. It's going to impact retail. We've already seen retail reeling in a lot of spaces. People are shopping more online from their mobile devices. So we just find a way of adapting. So I think there's no shortage of industries that's going to be affected in a positive and negative way. But we always seem to find a way where there's a good balance. It really is a long conversation to have, but it's a really good question.
Where would you focus your kids if they're
All right.
in high school, university, or
Scott asked, where would I focus my kids? Just STEM overall. So again, you know, naturally you want them to study what they feel they're good at and what they naturally have skills in. If they are, so let me give you myself as an example. 20 years ago when I started full-time, I quit my day job in July of '96 to write about video games. People said, why don't you just make your own games? I'm like, I can't make games. I don't have a brain like that. I'm more on the communication side. I feel like I can bridge the gap between the techies and those who don't get technology, and that was my role. So I'm a big believer is you have to be passionate about what you're going to study. So if kids have a natural leaning towards video games, then I would encourage them to not just play them, but to make them, and there's free tools out there for them to do so. Don't be afraid of it. Yeah. You know, but again, you have to find, you know, A is do what you're passionate about is what I tell kids, and B is do what you're good at. If you can't bang your head against the wall if you can't program a robot. But for some of these kids, it's pretty intuitive. But it's important that we give them the tools so they know whether they can compete or not, which is what MGR does.
Right over here.
Thanks for your presentation. Do you have any experience or thoughts on big data and its correlationship with a lot of the stuff you talked about?
Right, so the question is about big data. It's a buzzword right now in the business world. It just refers to all of this information that's out there, and it's being aggregated and disseminated, and that again ties to everything I talked about For example, I talked about your car pulling around the driveway, around into your neighborhood, the garage door opens, you walk into your home, the lights go on. So this is Internet of Things, I called it, but big data is all the information that's being collected to serve you. Or if every time you ask Google a query, that's all big data. They're collecting thousands and thousands, I should say billions of responses, and it's all tied together in robotics, because the robot is probably not going to have a hard drive as a brain. It's going to be connected to the cloud, and it's going to have all that information that you ask, just like Siri on your phone, just in a physical being. But big data, it's hard to explain on a very basic level, but it's the connection points between all of it, whether it's machine to machine or we're asking for the information. I know it's a bit geeky, but yeah. Yeah.
Mark, technology is increasing communication. So what are your thoughts on a social fund?
Yeah. Great question. So technology is great for, it's introducing new ways to communicate, but what about the old-fashioned ways, as what I think you're getting at? I have 3 kids of my own, I failed to mention. My wife Kelly and I have twin 14-year-olds and a 12-year-old. And I do look at them and their friends, and I worry, like, you know, are they more comfortable looking at screens than they are at each other? Fortunately, our kids, as an example, are good social kids, but I do worry about this increased reliance on screens. And there are, though, we know kids who are better, they would rather look at a screen than at someone in their eyes, which is a skill that you hope they learn, you know, maybe not at school, but in the home. But guess what? If mom and dad are looking at their screens all the time, well, where do you think they're going to learn that from, right? So it's important to set an example. And moderation, I think, is really important. This is happening, whether we're going to be part of it or not. But I do think it's important that kids learn moderation. We have a no texting at the table rule. Their kids can be on our devices, but once dinner's there, everybody leaves there and we all go to the table. But mom and dad have to set an example. So I'm a little bit worried about the younger generation, the Snapchat generation, but I think that with good parenting, they're going to learn that eye-to-eye contact is just as important, and a handshake, than an emoticon or emoji thumbs up, you know? But it's a valid concern. Yeah.
Mike, you did talk about blockchain. Where do you see that fitting into the equation? And I'm yet to hear someone explain it.
Yeah. Yeah, blockchain. So that is also a very tough topic to address with normal language. To be honest with you, but I'd be happy to chat with you about it. I find it would be very difficult to talk about. Yeah, but it's a good question. I'm going to come and talk to you about it. I just don't want, you know.
Well, how about a round of applause for Marc for that
Thank you, guys.
incredible presentation?